Hello, hello, my friends. My name is Jeff Birchall. So the other day, Paul gave us all a challenge to memorize the 15 laws of success, right? And I thought I'd maybe share this video real quick, maybe help you find a little strategy that I used to learn them myself. And it's using mnemonics. I don't know if you've ever heard of mnemonics. I actually didn't know about. I've heard about this, growing up. We've all probably used them at times, but I didn't really realize how powerful they were until just last week. I learned the great way to memorize lists. So I'm going to teach you how to memorize the 15 laws of success today. And what we're going to do is we're going to count 1 through 15, right? We're going to start with number 1. We're going to think of some images to relate to the numbers, so that we think of a number, and we're going to think of an image, and it's going to be a really graphical, really intense image, and then that way we'll automatically have that connection, and then we'll come back. So number 1, we're going to think of a gun. And I want you to think of like the Wile E. Coyote, a gigantic gun. It's like 6 foot long barrel, chrome, just huge gun. So number 1 is a gun. Okay. So number 2, we're going to think of a shoe. We're going to think of a gigantic, just like 10 foot long, really super shiny shoe. Black, polished, just shiny shoe. Number 3, we're going to think of a tree. Okay. So number 3, a gigantic. We're going to think of the oak tree, the Think and Grow Rich oak tree. Gigantic. The dollar bills are the size of a billboard, all right? Just make it huge. The bigger you can make it in your mind, the better. So number 4, let's think of a door. Let's think of a huge, elaborate door, wood, just beautifully carved. Just the feel of success, the feel of luxury. Okay, so number 4 is a door. Number 5, I want you to think of a beehive, a gigantic, huge beehive. We're talking about bees the size of Volkswagen Beetles, all right? Huge beehive. So that should be pretty easy to remember. Number 6 is getting sick, just, puking your guts out. I'll just put that right now. That's easy to remember. Number 7, we're going to think of heaven. That's easy. Number 7, heaven. Think of the pearly gates, or some real big, the cloudy, fluffy heaven. Just something to relate to the image for you. Number 8, we'll think of a gate, maybe a wooden crickety gate, something like that. Number 9, wine. Maybe for you, we can picture a gigantic wine bottle as big as a building, and just huge label, or bubbles the size of people. Just something, or wine doesn't have bubbles. Just something to think of wine for 9. Okay. Number 10, we're going to think of a den, like a den of lions. Dark, gigantic hole in the side of the mountain, and it's a den, really just scary to go into. A den of lions obviously be scary. Number 11, I like to think of the 11th man as, and when the Texas Tech football team, I'm pretty sure it's Texas Tech, they call their marching band the 11th man, and I like to think of them because it's an amazing thing to watch these kids playing their marching band instruments. Even if you don't like football or marching band, it's really impressive to see them. So number 11, I think of the 11th man. Number 12, think of a shelf, a gigantic shelf in a pantry holding all kinds of goodies and sweets and stuff. Let's see where it's number 13. I want you to think of a wound, and like a big gaping, gashing, just cutting your arm, a wound. All right, pretty gross. And number 14 would be courting. Let's think of, like in the early part of the century, a guy with a big tall steam top hat, and he's courting a lady with one of those big brazier things, right? And number 15, let's associate number 15 with a mustache. I don't really have a mustache. I guess kind of part of my beard, but I don't know why. But 15, I think of a mustache, but I do. Okay, so maybe pause for a second and take time and memorize those images, because it's going to be really important when it comes time now to learn the 15 laws of success. And you might be thinking this doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to show you why here in just a second. And I guarantee you, once you do this, once you go through this process, you're going to be able to memorize the list and you'll be able to recall them at will in any order you want. You can do it backwards, frontwards, it won't matter, you'll be able to do it. So, number one, remember, was a gun. Our definite chief aim. To use a gun, no matter how big that gun is, you gotta aim it. You gotta line it up and hit your definite chief aim in life, right? Number two, that big shiny shoe. I don't know about you, but I like a shiny shoe. For some reason, it gives me self-confidence. I don't know what it is. Maybe, I don't know. There's something about shoes gives self-confidence. Number three, the tree. Well, to grow a tree, you got to plant a seed. And if you develop the habit of saving, then it's like planting little seeds that grow into those trees with those gigantic dollar bills, right? Excuse me, I had to take a little sip there. So number four was a door, and I like to think of the old network marketing. You had to have initiative and leadership to go knocking doors. There's some companies out there that were literally like door-to-door stuff the back in the day. So you had to have some serious initiative and leadership to do that. Go knocking doors. Number five, that beehive. But you had to have some imagination, right, to think of a gigantic bee the size of a beetle car. So imagination is number five. Number six, if you think about Paul, his enthusiasm, the guy's never sick. He's always on the call. It's amazing. And so enthusiasm is number six. If you have enthusiasm, you won't be sick. Number seven is heaven. And seven, getting to heaven, that's something we want to have a little self-control about getting to right away, right? We want to give that a little bit of time. And eight, the gate. Sometimes it pays to do more than you're paid to do for, and sometimes maybe that neighbor or that gate at the shop just isn't hanging right, and you know what to do, and it'll pay you. It's not your job, but it's worth it for you to do more than you're paid to do to go ahead and fix that. So we can think of that gate as doing more than we're paid to do. Number nine, some people just need a little wine to have a pleasing personality, right? Some people out there are they're just abrasive. So anyways, number 10, if you're going to walk into a den of lions, you had better have some accurate thinking, or you're going to have some serious problems when you step foot in there, right? It could get ugly. Number 11, the marching band, their concentration in keeping their lines and their forms in a stadium with 80,000 people is amazing. That concentration it takes to stick together. Number 12, if you were to take that shelf and think of it with only having one balance and there's a bunch of people on it, we have to have cooperation to keep that shelf balanced, or we're all going to fall off. Number 13, that wound. Just because we got cut doesn't mean we can't profit from failure. Doesn't mean we can't learn from past mistakes. And number 14, in order to court anybody, regardless of who you're courting, you have to have tolerance. You have to be willing to accept them for who they are and accept that people have differences out there. And number 15, I don't know why I associate the mustache. Maybe it's the wisdom of an old guy who lives by the golden rule. And that, my friend, is all 15 laws of success. I hope this video helps out. I know it's a little bit long, but enjoyed, and leave a comment. Give me some feedback. I hope it helps. Have a great day.